The H-1B visa program ignited quite a discussion with the GOP base. Joe Biden regrets dropping out of the presidential race. Plus, where do Democrats go from here? All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
God bless the United States of America.
Okay, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to start with the fallout from the H-1B visa controversy spurred on by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, in case you were simply enjoying Christmas and checked out from the news for a little bit, here's a quick recap. President-elect Trump's pick to be the top AI advisor came out and said that the caps on H-1B visas should be eliminated. H-1B visas are used to a great extent by companies to bring in cheap foreign labor instead of hiring American workers. Musk and Ramaswamy entered this landmine by agreeing with the sentiment, which spurred massive backlash from many Trump supporters. And to be honest, some of the backlash was also driven by the condescending attitudes displayed by Musk and Ramaswamy in blasting American workers and American culture. The pair claimed on X that the H-1B visa program is used to bring in the best and brightest from around the world to give America an edge over the competition. In reality, the program has been thoroughly abused to the point where companies are using it to fill low-level positions because foreign workers save companies money. Here is Trump from back in 2016 when he was first running for president.
Nobody knows it better than me. I'm a businessman. These are laws, these are regulations, these are rules. We're allowed to do it. And frankly, it's very, very hard for our companies in this country, to compete. That's something that I frankly use, and I shouldn't be allowed to use. We shouldn't have it. Very, very bad for workers.
The doubling down that we witnessed over this past week by Musk and Ramaswamy was quite surprising, especially given the volume of data that are readily available which show that the program is broken. H-1B visas are being used for dog trainers and nurses, sales reps, and administrative assistants. The list goes on and on. From 7-Eleven cashiers to interns to Las Vegas dancers to plumbers and cooks. And of course, my personal favorite, H-1B used for pickleball coaches. Seeing the effect of the uproar has caused a rethinking of the issue, or at least a rethinking of what is being said in public.
On Christmas Day, Elon posted HB1 was critical for America to keep winning, but then yesterday afternoon he posted, maybe this is a helpful clarification, I'm referring to bringing in via legal immigration, the top 0.1% of engineering talent as being essential for America to keep winning. So much more narrow scope on HB1.
Here's my thoughts after doing a number of news programs on this issue over the past few days. First of all, this is how debates should occur. And what we've seen over the last few days is exactly the opposite of the Democrat media leftist cabal that would censor and cancel people for opposing views. What we've seen online and in public statements is sincere differing opinions, data, and cases being made. Yes, some tempers were raised, but in the end, we are seeing agreement coalesce around the desire to skim the actual best and brightest from other countries and the reality that the H-1B program has been abused and victims are the American workers. We exist as a country to provide and protect our own. Putting American workers first is not racist, it's not anti-immigrant, it's why a country exists. Reform the system, put Americans first in America, and bring in the exceptional from other places when needed. This is how debates and discussions can work, and we saw it in action last week. All right, next let's look at the Biden legacy, but first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, just search out my name, hit that subscribe button, make sure notifications are turned on, that way you can follow the show and help us grow. Okay, next let's talk about Joe Biden, because his term is coming to an end. So naturally, there's a lot of review going on and talk about legacy. Also, we saw the passing of former President Jimmy Carter yesterday, and I think his presidency and life will end up influencing how Joe Biden is remembered. Now, all of this talk about legacy comes out as the Washington Post reports that in recent days, Biden and close aides lament dropping out of the race and feel that Biden would have beaten Trump in the November election. This is delusion to the highest degree. The border was left open by Joe Biden. Inflation skyrocketed, and the world was left without American leadership. And despite all of that, Biden pressed forward and gave us the debate to remember.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
It's clear that Biden was diminished from day one, and yet Karine Jean-Pierre continued to flat out lie to the American public about the President of the United States.
And I've spent countless hours with this president, whether in the Oval Office or on the road. And I have to say, he's sharp, he's engaged, he pushes us for information. We go back and forth on whatever information, whatever is maybe the news of the day that's on his mind. And it happens very often. Yeah. And so that's my experience with him. But you all see him on the road. I mean, you know, he was, when we were in Vegas, he was asked about, he was asked a specific question about the former president. And he answered that in a fun, sharp, kind of way. And that's him.
To me, this is the scandal of the century. And it calls into question who's been running this country. And we certainly will be the one main talking point to Biden's legacy. Overall, Biden will be remembered as one of the worst presidents in the history of the country. And that's where former President Jimmy Carter comes into the picture. For many people, Carter was right there at the top of the list of worst presidents. His administration oversaw double-digit interest rates, unemployment, and inflation. Gas shortages dominated the news. And of course, there was the Iranian hostage crisis and tragically failed rescue attempt that summed up American weakness and opened the door for Ronald Reagan. The comparisons between Carter and Biden in the areas of handling the economy, helping the middle-class Americans, and providing world leadership certainly paint a picture of two failed presidents. But that's where the similarities end. As we see and will be seeing, Carter dedicated his life to helping others, and that is an undeniable part of his legacy. In contrast, Biden has led a decades-long crime family that has traded influence for cash. He weaponized the Justice Department to go after political enemies, having January 6th offenders languish in prison, targeting religious individuals, targeting concerned parents, taking bribes, and laundering money. These aspects of the Biden legacy stand in direct contrast to Carter and will provide an unremovable stain on his presidency and life. Joe Biden may think he could have beaten Trump, but we all know that's false. Instead, Biden will go down as one of the most ineffective and corrupt politicians to ever hold the office of president. All right, next let's talk about the Democrats in general, because if we were to do a year in review on them, it's as bad as Joe Biden. The policies of the Democrats were completely rejected this election cycle, and now the soul-searching, finger-pointing, and denial are setting in.
Democrat Congressman Dean Phillips, who ran for president earlier this year, told Politico, quote, "This party needs a comprehensive turnaround and conventional wisdom no longer works. A party that consists of multiple silos and campaign committees and outside groups cannot strategically do its job, and that means leadership." Democrat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett also called out the state of her party. Listen.
We are really stuck in our old ways of doing things, which is you get there by seniority. And so if you've been there longer, then you get the post. And I don't think that we fully sit there and say who may be best equipped for this moment.
Those two voices right there show that the Democrats still don't get it. They're talking about structure and organization and even age, and they are completely missing the point. Trump is only about 4 years younger than Biden, and yet he energized young voters who moved toward him in a major way this past November. It's not about structure or organization or youth, although we can certainly have a discussion on some of the people in Washington who are literally just taking up space while others run the show. No, this is about policy. The Democrats have veered so far away from the sentiments of the American people, and yet the Democrats were still shocked when the American people rejected them. Here's some comments from Semaphore reporter David Weigel.
Among the non-progressives, and this is a broad group of people. This is the New Democrats, but this is also a lot of people who are part of the Congressional Progressive Caucus and don't agree with every one of their priorities. They were organizing to blame a couple of ideas that they said got too much traction in the party and the administration and are responsible for their defeat. They would like there to be a Democratic Party in 26, 28 that runs against some of the Biden administration's policies on, to pick the two controversial ones, I guess, on immigration and on gender identity. And they did not find a lot of takers. They were very vocal in the weeks after the election saying there are some policies the party needs to shift on. They did not find people in the party saying we agree.
No takers. Most Democrats are still in denial. And what that means is that if they keep pushing this woke agenda of far left policies, they're going to find themselves on the losing end of election after election. And next, here's some rapid fire headlines from around the country. First, woke may be going, but it's certainly not gone yet. A male runner who sued a spa for not letting him bathe with women has been accepted to compete in the 2025 Boston Marathon as a woman. As reported by the Post Millennial, the runner Robert Young sued a Korean-owned spa in Centerville, Virginia, saying the spa, quote, misgendered him. Young said a spa staffer, quote, called me a man because she said I had strong muscle tone. I'm not bulky, but I am athletic, end quote. No, sir, she called you a man because you are one. Next, despite taking heavy criticism on his handling of potential government shutdown and continuing resolutions, House Speaker Mike Johnson received the endorsement of President-elect Trump today. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said, quote, we are the party of common sense, a primary reason that we won in a landslide that magnificent and historic presidential election of 2024. Trump added, quote, they ran a very expensive sinking ship, embracing DOJ and FBI weaponization against their political opponents, end quote. In closing the post, Trump addressed the upcoming vote for Speaker and wrote, quote, the American people need immediate relief from all the destructive policies of the last administration. Speaker Johnson is a good, hardworking, religious man. He will do the right thing and we will continue to win. Mike has my complete and total endorsement, end quote. Finally, Joe Biden announced today a new package of nearly $2.5 billion for those Americans devastated by Hurricanes Helene and Milton. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not right. What Biden really did was give that money to Ukraine. Biden said the aid will, quote, provide Ukraine with both an immediate influx of capabilities that it continues to use to great effect on the battlefield and longer-term supplies of air defense, artillery, and other critical weapons systems, end quote. Way to kick the American people on his way out the door. Friends, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, today's show's one sheet is available to Patreon supporters using the link in the description. The one sheet gives you links to all the videos and stories used on today's show, so you can dive even deeper into each issue. And with that, our next show will be Wednesday evening at the usual time. Until then, I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. All right, friends, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button above. Once you do, tell your friends, share it, spread the word about the 13-minute news hour so we can keep growing. And for more great content, check out these videos right here, and I'll see you next time.